All right, get ready to level up because our deep dive today is all about, well, leveling up your life. We're tackling Atomic Habits by James Clear.
And judging by the pile of notes and highlights...
You've practically buried us.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you're ready to unleash some serious potential, huh?
You know, from what I see in these notes, looks like you're really interested in conquering procrastination.
Oh, tell me about it.
A universal struggle, right?
Some days, honestly, I think my to-do list is like multiplying while I'm just staring at my phone, you know?
Well, the good news is, even small changes can make a huge difference over time.
Okay.
The book has this, brilliant compounding example. Imagine getting just 1% worse each day for a whole year.
Oh, wow.
Practically disappear.
Yikes.
But flip it. Get 1% better each day, and after a year, the results...
Why does...
astonishing. Almost 37 times greater.
Yeah, that is a very motivating image, especially this early.
Right.
But speaking of small changes leading to big results, let's talk about James Clear himself. He didn't just, think up these theories. He actually lived them.
Yeah. His story starts with this almost unbelievable setback. A near-fatal baseball injury in high school.
Whoa.
Coma, facial fractures, had to relearn basic things like walking.
Wow.
Talk about rock bottom.
Yeah.
So how did he go from that to, writing a bestseller on habits?
Exactly.
Well, that's the fascinating part. He credits those tiny wins during his recovery, those tiny steps forward, with shaping his whole philosophy. It wasn't about some, huge superhuman effort, but those consistent, tiny improvements that added up.
Okay.
And get this, he went on to become an academic All-American.
Hold on. Coma and facial fractures to academic All-American. That's not just resilience. That's rewriting the rules of the game.
Right.
Okay, I'm starting to see why this book's hitting home for you.
And the book tackles these big questions about success, like why do some people with huge goals fail while others, who seem less driven, achieve amazing things?
Like that whole goals versus systems thing, right? I'm totally guilty of setting these, epic goals.
Yeah.
And then, let's just say my follow-through needs work.
That's where Clear's insight is so valuable. He argues that while goals are important for setting direction, systems are what actually get you there.
Okay.
Think of it like two people want to climb a mountain.
Right.
One is just focused on reaching the top. The other is focused on, building the strength and skills to actually get there.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense. It's I'm always focused on the summit, but haven't really figured out the best, gear or training plan.
Exactly. And Atomic Habits gives us that plan.
Ooh, nice.
It breaks down habit formation into 4 laws, the building blocks for lasting change.
Okay, I love a good framework.
Right.
Hit me with law #1. What's the first step to building better habits?
Make it obvious. Starts with awareness.
Okay.
You can't change what you don't acknowledge, right?
Right.
So Clear suggests starting with a habit scorecard. Write down your current habits, good and bad.
Oh.
Taking inventory of your, mental pantry.
Ooh. That sounds a little scary, but probably necessary.
Yeah, might be some surprises in there.
Yeah, probably out of sight, out of mind applies to bad habits, too.
Exactly. And once you're aware of those habits, it's time to get strategic implementation intentions. Basically, a plan for when and where you'll do the habit.
Okay.
So instead of saying, I'll eat healthier, it's I'll pack a salad for lunch every Monday and Wednesday.
So it's about removing that decision fatigue, making it automatic.
Exactly. And there's this cool trick, habit stacking, attaching a new habit to an existing one.
Okay.
After I make my morning coffee, I'll meditate for 1 minute.
So you're leveraging that existing routine to trigger the new behavior.
Exactly.
I love it. I'm already seeing how these tiny tweaks can add up. It's those urinal stickers they used in Amsterdam airport.
Oh, yeah.
A little fly image, drastically reduce spillage.
It's amazing how a tiny cue can make a difference.
Yeah. Sometimes a tiny cue is all you need.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the second law, make it attractive. This one taps into the psychology of motivation.
Okay.
Making the habit something you want to do.
Okay. This is where I shine.
Okay.
Like the queen of, treat yourself motivation.
Perfect.
I only let myself watch my favorite trashy reality show.
Okay, yes.
While I'm folding laundry.
That's brilliant.
It works.
That's temptation bundling, linking something you want to do with something you need to do. It's like hacking your brain's reward system.
Exactly. Laundry day is not so dreadful anymore.
Right.
What else makes a habit more appealing?
Well, the book also talks about the power of our social environment. We imitate the habits of those around us, especially those we admire or are close to.
So if all your friends are marathon runners,
yes,
chances are you at least think about putting on those sneakers, right? It's peer pressure for good.
Precisely. And finally, changing your mindset about the habit itself. Instead of, I have to work out, it's, I get to move my body and feel energized can make a huge difference.
Ooh, I like that.
Right.
Okay, I'm feeling motivated already.
Good.
But starting is one thing, keeping it going, another story.
Right.
What's the secret to making a habit stick?
Well, that's law #3, make it easy. All about removing friction for good habits.
Okay.
And increasing it for bad ones.
Okay.
Like, want to read more, make sure there's always a book around, want to cut back on social media, delete those apps.
So set yourself up for success by making the good choice the easy choice.
Exactly. And Atomic Habits has this technique called the 2-minute rule.
Okay.
Break down a new habit into a ridiculously easy starting point.
Okay.
Instead of aiming for an hour-long workout, commit to just 2 minutes.
So you're kind of tricking yourself into getting started.
In a way, yes. The idea is once you overcome that initial, like, ugh, it's much easier to keep going.
Yeah.
Plus, you build momentum. Like that story Clear tells about becoming an early riser. Gradually shifted his bedtime back by 15 minutes each week until he hit his goal.
It's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
Yes.
Or in this case, a very small, manageable step.
Exactly. And that gradual approach is key to habit shaping, another technique the book dives into.
Yeah.
It's about starting small and then gradually increasing the difficulty.
So no need to overhaul your entire life overnight.
No.
Small, consistent changes are the key.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Building a foundation for sustainable change, not just like bursts of motivation.
Okay.
And that brings us to the final and arguably most important law, make it satisfying. We're wired for immediate gratification, right?
Oh, tell me about it.
But good habits often have delayed payoffs.
Yeah. It's so much easier to grab a cookie and resist and wait for, like, those long-term health benefits.
Exactly. So the trick is to find ways to make good habits feel rewarding, NW.
Okay.
Even in small ways.
It's all about finding those little wins to keep you going. I'm a big fan of habit trackers, Just seeing those check marks add up,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That visual reminder is so powerful, and it doesn't have to be fancy.
Right.
Remember that story about the stockbroker who moved paper clips from one jar to another?
Oh, yeah.
Every time he made a call?
Love that story.
Simple but effective.
It's like giving yourself a gold star for adulting.
Exactly.
Sometimes those little rewards are all you need.
Right. And the book talks about making bad habits less satisfying.
Okay.
Adding a bit of immediate pain
Ooh.
to discourage those bad behaviors.
Okay, that's a bit intense. Like, what kind of pain are we talking about?
Well, that habit contract idea we mentioned, predetermined consequences for slipping up.
Yeah.
That's one way. But sometimes just being mindful of the downsides can be enough. Like if you're trying to cut back on sugar, really picturing how sluggish and foggy-headed it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Might make that second cookie less appealing.
Right. It's like shining a light on those hidden costs. We focus on the pleasure, but forget about those long-term consequences.
Exactly. And the book goes even deeper with this idea of immediate versus delayed rewards.
Okay.
When it talks about supernormal stimuli.
Oh, that's a fascinating concept. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, it's the idea that our brains are wired to respond strongly to exaggerated versions of things that were important for survival. Back in the day, our ancestors were drawn to high-calorie foods because they were scarce.
Made sense.
But now, those calorie-dense foods are everywhere, and our brains haven't quite caught up.
So we're still, programmed to crave those things.
Yes.
Even though they're not, beneficial anymore.
Exactly. It's like our ancient wiring getting hijacked by the modern world.
Oh, wow.
And it's not just food. Think about social media. It's designed to give us those dopamine hits.
Oh, yeah.
Constant notifications, likes, comments.
It's like a never-ending buffet of validation.
Right. But so hard to resist.
Yeah, it really is. It's like those flashing lights and catchy jingles in a casino.
Exactly.
They know how to push our buttons.
They know what they're doing.
They do.
And that's why it's crucial to be aware of these supernormal stimuli and how they influence us.
Mm-hmm.
Once we understand those cravings, we can make more conscious choices.
Okay, so it's not about, like, feeling weak
No.
or guilty for having those cravings.
No, not at all.
It's about understanding them.
Yes.
And then finding ways to, like, manage them.
Exactly. Taking back control from those automatic impulses.
Right.
And the book offers some strategies for doing just that. Remember temptation bundling?
Oh, yeah.
Pairing something you want to do with something you need to do?
Okay, so instead of mindlessly scrolling,
Yeah.
I could listen to my favorite podcast while I'm doing chores.
Yes.
Get that double dose of satisfaction.
Exactly. And another powerful one is joining a culture where the desired behavior is the norm.
Okay.
Surrounding yourself with people who share your goals.
Makes those habits seem more attainable, appealing.
Exactly. It's like choosing your team. You want to be around people playing the same game.
Yeah, it's not just about willpower.
No.
It's about finding your tribe, leveraging that social support.
Precisely. And that brings us to another key aspect, motivation.
Oh.
We all know that feeling, starting strong and then fizzling out. When things get tough or boring, how do we stay the course when motivation inevitably dips?
Yeah, that's me for sure.
Happens to the best of us.
I get all fired up about a new goal and then like a few weeks later, back to my old ways.
Atomic Habits talks about finding that Goldilocks zone,
Okay.
that sweet spot where a task is challenging enough to keep you engaged,
Okay.
but not so difficult that you get discouraged.
So finding that balance between pushing yourself
Yes.
and being realistic.
Exactly. Think about it. If a task is too easy, we get bored.
Yeah.
Too hard, we give up. But just, hey,
Goldilocks.
we enter that flow state where we lose track of time.
Love that feeling.
Right.
Completely absorbed.
Yeah, it's like finding that groove. You're firing on all cylinders, totally in the moment.
Precisely. And the book suggests we create those flow states by gradually increasing the difficulty
Okay.
as we master our habits.
It's like leveling up in a video game.
Exactly. You wouldn't start with the final boss battle.
No.
You build your skills over time.
So it's start small, master the basics,
Yes.
then gradually increase the challenge.
Exactly. Constantly challenging yourself without getting overwhelmed.
Okay.
And Atomic Habits reminds us that even when we've built those solid habits and we're feeling good,
Yeah.
we need a system to review and reflect on those habits.
So like checking in,
Yeah.
making sure they're still serving us.
Exactly. They haven't become stale or outdated.
Okay, so it's like taking inventory not just of our physical pantry, but our mental and emotional pantry.
Exactly. Being mindful and making sure they're still supporting our growth.
Okay, this has been an amazing deep dive.
That's a great book. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of how habits work, how to build better ones.
That's great to hear.
What's one final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
One thing that really stuck with me was the idea that our habits ultimately shape our identity.
Ooh.
Like James Clear says, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become.
Wow.
So, choose your habits wisely.
That's powerful. It's not just about achieving something. It's about becoming the best version of ourselves.
Exactly.
And on that note, dear listener, here's something to think about. What small habit could you start today? That would be a vote for the person you want to be tomorrow. So spill the beans. What are these advanced habit hacks? The ones that'll have us all operating at peak performance.
Well, one of the most interesting ideas is about aligning your habits with your natural talents.
So it's not just about working hard,
No.
but working smart.
Exactly. The book calls this finding your areas of advantage.
Okay.
We all have different strengths and weaknesses. It's about playing to those strengths. Right.
Instead of trying to be good at everything.
It's like that comparison in the book
Yeah.
between Michael Phelps and Hicham Garouge, both Olympic champions,
Yeah.
but built for totally different sports.
Exactly. Phelps, with his long torso and huge arm span, practically born to swim,
Yeah.
while El Garouge, lean and powerful, a natural for middle distance running.
Right.
Imagine if they'd tried to switch sports.
Ooh.
Talk about an uphill battle.
Yeah, so trying to force ourselves into a mold that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
That's just asking for frustration.
Right. It's about finding your lane and excelling in it. Clear calls it playing a game you can win.
Okay, so how do we figure out our own areas of advantage? Like, is there some magical personality test?
It's less about a test, more about exploration and self-awareness.
Okay.
The book suggests trying things, paying attention to what feels challenging but rewarding.
Okay.
What activities make you lose track of time? What comes naturally?
So leaning into the things that energize us, not drain us.
Right.
Exactly. And once you've found those areas, the book says, don't just explore them, exploit them.
Exploit them, okay.
Meaning, really invest your time and energy where you have the potential to excel.
So find your niche.
Yeah.
And then become a master of it.
Precisely. And that mastery often involves deliberate practice.
Okay.
Not just going through the motions, actively seeking feedback, pushing your boundaries.
So it's like having a coach for your habits.
Yes.
Someone who is always pushing you to that next level.
Deliberate practice is about being intentional, focused, targeting areas where you need to improve. It requires a growth mindset, believing you can always get better.
I love that. It's not about being perfect.
No.
It's about that constant pursuit of improvement.
Exactly. And as you get better at something,
Yeah.
it becomes more enjoyable, which makes it easier to stick with it.
Right.
It's a positive feedback loop.
Yeah, it's like those video games. You keep unlocking new levels.
Yeah.
Keeps you motivated to keep playing.
Right. And Atomic Habits reminds us that even when we've built those solid habits, we're feeling good.
Yeah.
It's important to have a system for reviewing, reflecting on those habits.
So checking in, making sure those habits are still,
Yeah, serving you.
working for us.
Yeah.
Haven't become outdated.
Exactly. It's about having a system for continuous improvement,
Okay.
making sure your habits are aligned with your goals and values.
This has been amazing. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of habits,
I'm glad to hear.
how they work, how to build better ones.
It's a powerful framework.
It is. What's one final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
The idea that really stuck with me was that our habits ultimately shape our identity. Like James Clear says, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become.
Wow.
So choose your habits wisely.
That is powerful. It's not just about achieving a specific outcome.
Right?
It's about becoming the best version of ourselves. And on that note, dear listener, here's something to think about. What small habit could you start today? That would be a vote for the person you want to be tomorrow.